my goal for this year is to get through all the empties, or to create a bunch of empties. For my anti-haul, I'm going to go through all the seeds that I already have or have collected in the past season. The way that I have my seeds organized is in a ventilated bok choy box. Keep this generally during the grocery season in my garage where it is dark. Right now I keep it in my room. So the way that I organize is generally by 3 categories. The first category being the coolest of flowers, ones that I can sow in fall and maybe right now in the winter for my zone, which is 9A. The next section are those that aren't as cold hardy, but I can start getting out a little bit before my last frost date. My final grouping of flowers are ones that I try not to touch until after it warms up, so about 2 weeks after my last frost date. I basically follow the cool flowers method, and within each section try and hit off the flowers that are either the hardiest or take the longest to get going. So for me, the very first thing that I would sow is yarrow, and I have the Colorado mix, and it is my first empty. Next, I have poppies. The ones that I cut last year and that I fell in love with are the Iceland poppies. I think I finished this, which is saying something because a ton of seeds come in this, but I'm not the greatest at germinating poppies. I also have a Shirley version, which is a bit taller than an Iceland poppy, not as prolific, but it's like a really pretty one, and it has like it branches out. And this variety is called Falling in Love. Then I have a bunch of breadseed poppies, so the ones that leave behind the pods, which I loved drying, and I find these ones germinate better or easier than the Iceland poppies, although I also did not get as many of these as I wanted last year. And these, oh, just kidding, that one definitely has seeds. These ones are almost empty. So I have a peony poppy cream, a peony poppy purple. What that means is just really fluffy. And then I have the Hungarian blue. Something that I've had for years, but this is going to be my first year sowing it, is Oriental poppies. And this is another, just like Iceland poppies should be perennial to my zone. And this is a gorgeous orange color. Which I look forward to seeing, and has not been that hard to germinate. When I say I don't do very well with poppies, that's my first go. They are not thriving, but we'll see. Next up, these take a bit long to grow, and I have some perennializing, overwintering in the garden right now, are snapdragons. These are also empty. This is one of the first seeds I bought from Goodwill. And then I love this mix. It's the University of California mix. Next up, because they love the cold, and I found these to be a real shocker to me. I try and read the height. This one says that it gets up to 4 feet, but that's not true. It fully got taller than me, which is not saying much, but it was at least 5 feet tall. And I have emptied it, but don't have much germination yet. I think these want to be germinated in the really cold. I had good success with them last year, germinating as we were going into fall. And this year I'm trying it indoors next to a really cold window. So we'll see. But this is Larkspur, and this is the Rhapsody in Blue mix. Next up is Orlea. I really like this one. They're a pain in the butt to germinate because they take forever. And so I kind of have 80 of them going right now. Mainly because I'm impatient to do successions. But something about Orlea was that they were really easy to collect seeds. And because I am not very good with identifying seedlings yet in the garden, I didn't let many things reseed themselves in the garden, so I picked them. And this was really easy to pick. The seeds are huge. The only issue with them is that they're mad prickly, like in your finger prickly. Next up, some of my favorite sweet peas. I have Heavenly Goddess, Celeste Blue, April in Paris, and Early Mammoths. This one has a bunch of it's a mix of colors, but I found that I usually just get purple. Last year I didn't need to protect these much unless it got down to the 20s. Lately, winter has not gotten down past like 30s, so I don't foresee having to protect this that much this winter, knock on wood. Next up is bunnytails. This is not known as a cool flower, but I have heard that overwintering it gives you really long stems. So I'm hoping to try that out this year by just keeping it in the greenhouse even when it does become warm outside. I'm hoping the protection and the shade will help elongate the stems better. And this is also empty. One of my favorite flowers last year was by surprise. It was Gojisha. These were so pretty, so full, so fluffy. I found that they handled really well in the vase. They do come up in flushes, so I'm going to try successions this year. They have a nickname called Farewell to Spring, and mine did bloom right on summer solstice. They are amazing, and these are pretty hardy. They're native to my area. Next one that I love, and it flowered maybe like early summer for me, and then but went on and on and on and on through fall, was Scabiosa. Not the perennial Scabiosa. I have some of those plants. They're currently being eaten by slugs, and they did not flower last year, so I will see if they will flower this year. But this is the annual version. My goal again is to have empties of these, but look how many I have. And last year I only had a couple plants, maybe 4, and they were continuously blooming. The final ones in my could be fall sown ones are Status. I have both the Pacific Pastel mix and this one's called Sea Lavender. The pack is a Sea Lavender Status flower, but it's also called Rat Tail or Russian Status, aka Limonium subrui. And both of these are awesome. I'm trying to get these out as quickly as possible with the intent to pull them when they start to run down. I don't feel like the Pastel Status did that last year, but the Rat Tail Status definitely petered out towards summer. And the reason that I kind of want to get as many of those out as possible is because they dry really well. And I'm totally okay with using dried stems in fresh arrangements. My next bunch of flowers are the ones that I plant in what is called very early spring or kind of late-ish winter. And so this is the time that I would want to transplant them out, about 6 to 8 weeks before my last frost, so that they still get a little bit of that cool flower. The first one, which I also do as a fall planting, is cornflower, but I noticed, and it might be because I didn't harden them off, I noticed that some of them aren't doing so great. Like they had true leaves and either the slugs ate them or the freeze ate them. So I'll be finishing off the ones that I collected. Those are super easy to collect. Next one is Nigella, which I hate germinating, but I love looking at. It's just that beautiful blue. And the seeds for those are also easy to collect. Then I have Feverfew. I have the Tanacetum parthenum, which is just the single petal version. I like these, but they smell. And I find that in early spring, I have some random chamomile that comes up, and I like those much better. Another empty is the Chinese Forget-Me-Not. These are gorgeous blues. I also might be thinking of getting the rose version this year. Then I have Strawflower. Strawflower is one that I didn't know seeds, the germination rate kind of falls after the first year. So I was in a huge hurry to plant these, and I have a shit ton of strawflowers. Next up is Didiscus or blue lace flower. I'm also having a hard time germinating these, but I collected a bunch of these flowers last year. So if I have to, I will sow all of them. Next is Calendula. I hear this is actually hardier in my zone, so like I could start this in the fall. But when I tried it last year, they froze along with the Sinoglossum, the forget-me-not. They froze during our like polar vortex thing. But we also have some that perennialize in our front yard. I don't know. They grow pretty fast. So again, I put this, I'm okay with sowing this later on. And I have Pacific Apricot Beauty, the Cantaloupe Mix, and then a bunch of 2023 ones that I have found around our garden and also other areas of Washington State. Next one I have is Mignonette White. I use it as a spike element. The next ones are not ones that are necessarily hardy, but ones that take a while to grow. So one of them being the Daisy Gerbera mix, which I just emptied. Woohoo! My gerbers maybe flowered like twice or 3 times. I was gonna try and perennialize them, but they were looking really sad, and so I only had 6 seeds left. We'll see how it goes. Then I have Velvet Trumpet Flowers, which is Salpaglosses. And I love these last year. They're a little sticky. I plan on using these all up just to see all the colors that come with it. One of my other favorites was Phlox Sugar Stars, which is an annual Phlox Drummondii. And then finally, Dahlia Seeds. These are ones that I collected this past year from dahlias that I gave from seed. So I have so many, and I'm sowing every single one of them. These are flowers, again, that don't want to be outside until it's maybe like 70 during the day and at least 50 at night. I have 2 types of celosia, both of which I completely failed at last year. I have the Celosia Flamingo Feather and the Celosia Sylphid. Then I have marigolds, which I have both African and French marigolds. French marigolds, super easy for me. Also, super easy for me to collect seeds, as you can see. Yeah, so the French one's pretty easy to collect. I also have a packet of Strawberry Blonde, which is like a gorgeous variegation of like apricot colors. And then I have Kilimanjaro White, which I think are all collected seeds at this point, so I have a feeling I'm not gonna get any. And just a general Crackerjack marigold. My favorite one last year was the Tangerine Gem, which are just these like tiny little marigolds, and they don't smell like that marigold smell, which I think smells great, but I know it's offensive to some people. These Tangerine Gems do have that citrusy smell. And then we have Cosmos, which I actually start kind of early, mainly because I can't wait, but also because they come in a lot of seeds. So I have the Cosmos Cupcake Mix, the Seashells Mix, the Cosmos Purity Mix. I have the Pickety Mix, which I just dropped, and Cosmos Apricota. I also have Globe Amaranth seeds. I don't have that many left. I really sucked at growing them. They're super stunted. So this is gonna be up in the air how this goes. I have a ton of sunflower seeds. And sunflower seeds they were my gateway flower. I have a lot of tall versions. I think this is Golden Cheer, just Mammoth. This one's really pretty. It's kind of like a teddy bearish type. It's citrus. And then just a general tall mix. But my favorite one to use for cutting or for bouquets is the Sunflower Italian White. And these I found, the blooms are an okay size. They're not that big. I would say no bigger than like the dahlia blooms that I was getting. The bane of my gardening existence is zinnias. I'm not good at growing zinnias at all, but I have so many. I have the Zinnia Cupcake series, the Forecast Mix, just a random zinnia mix. 2 colors from the Cinderella series. I think it's a lilac and a peach. And then I have a bunch of zinnia envy. My final bonus category is herbs. Here I have chamomile, like I said before, was a great alternative to feverfew in the spring. Dill, bouquet dill, which is gorgeous. Again, some people do not like the smell. Mainly my brother does not like the smell, but I love the smell. Finally, basil. I was not good at growing basil. I think I started too early. This needs to go in my more manuals section. But I have Mrs. Burns Lemon, Aromata, and Cinnamon. So I'm super excited for 2025. This is my auntie haul. These are the books that I was supposed to read, but I didn't, and are supposed to keep me from buying more. But will I go and buy more? We'll see.